Or do you look at cloud as something which is going to transform the industry and do things in a totally different way with the benefits will be an order of magnitude more? So that's something which you have to start by thinking, well, what's your cloud initiative going to be? And I think I'm going to try to answer that question in my talk.
Well, I mean, just continuing on what Dr. Udyan said is, the cloud is real. I mean, embrace it, right? And that's the reality of computing for the next 10, 15 years is the cloud. So that's pretty much what I would say.
What I would like to make you think is that yes, cloud is the next big disruption in IT. And what does it hold for a geography like ours? And the analogy that comes to mind is that if you look at what has happened in communications in this country, right? Where we were, about what even in the late 80s, in order to get a phone connection, you had to wait 5 or 6 years. There was a 5 or 6 year waiting list, right? Then there was landline technology introduced, 50 to 60 million lines and STD booths, and we felt that communication has come closer to every person in the country. And then mobile has reached now 1 billion subscribers. So it's been very disruptive. So in the 80s, when the rest of the world already had landline available in the developed world 10 years back, right? We were at a point where less than 1 to 2% of our telecommunication need was the penetration was less than 1 to 2%. That's where we are with IT today. IT is probably touching less than 1 to 2% of the real need in this country. And if we have to emerge as a developed economy, cloud is probably the solution. And the question is, are we going to do something to embrace it, adapt it, and accelerate it in a way which makes sense to us and make it happen now? Or are we going to wait for 5-10 years till it matures in the rest of the world and then start deploying it here? And I think with so much enthusiasm, maybe we need to go and do something different.
I think all has been said, but at the end of it, use cloud as a tool. It is something for you, something of a facilitator. It's something of a business enabler. What would have taken you much more effort and money and time is all made much simpler with the cloud. Things are available for you. It is like ready roads, ready site layouts. All you have to do is go and put up your businesses there. It's not you're not trying to build these things. So a lot of these things are going to be ready. A lot of it is going to evolve. Everything is not going to be the growing pains will be there. You need to live with it. But we are making the change. I think we are part of the change, of the transformation. So let's look at it that way and adapt and adopt.
Thanks. This brings an end to our panel discussion. From the left, Mr. Udayan Banerjee from NIIT, Mr. Anand S. from Oracle, Pamela Kumar from IEEE, and Mr. Tarun from McAfee. We have a small token of, we have a memento for each of them. A warm round of applause for the panel members, as well as to yourself for coming up with these practical questions.
That was a good way to run the panel, right? Today.
Yeah.
So you're like a cloud, just contribute on the model.
Just imagine if we had set the agenda as cloud strategy, and you would have discussed on cloud strategy, how wrong it would have been for the audience. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thanks. So with this, we'll take a half an hour tea coffee break. It is 10 past 11. We have buffer time. Don't worry. We will be able to catch up with the time. I know we are a little short. So just to give you the plan, here in this hall, you will be having cloud business and leadership track happening. So in your agenda, if you want to attend, so you can attend any of the talks. You can choose depending on your current role. and also the work that you want to do. So this hall will have cloud business and leadership track, and the other hall, which is you have to go from the back and you have to pass a veranda and go in the other hall on the same floor, will have cloud technology and innovations track. So cloud technology and innovations tracks are more technical in nature. It will have demo, it will have technology architectures and those things. So those who are in the role of architects and want to groom themselves in cloud technology area, this is the track. And those who are into the customer facing role, into the client engagement roles, in in the role of managing teams, probably cloud teams in future, and those who see themselves growing in those areas, for them, cloud business leadership track is, and we have set of fantastic speakers covering most of the topics. Not all the topics, not possible to cover in one day in 2 tracks, but we have identified most of the things. Just the way we did panel discussion, we did ask all our 10,000 IT delegates who have attended our conferences, not necessarily in cloud but others also, and they came up with this list of topics, and we identified speakers for this. So rest assured you will benefit from this. We also have Unicom Career Desk in case you are not sure whether cloud is right for you or what kind of technology you should use, or what certifications are available. You can reach out to us at Unicom Career Desk. We have Seagate as gold sponsor. Would like to thank them without them this would not have been possible. So we have a Seagate counter. There are T-shirts and other things which you can get it for them. So make sure that you do visit their stalls. They are providing cloud storage. They have moved from providing hard disk to now cloud storage. Fantastic change, and you can just add 11. I hope you'll enjoy and make sure that you participate. Make full use of it. You have been nominated by companies to come here. To come with certain expectations. Fulfill that expectations. I'm sure those expectations are not difficult to fulfill. So and try to make some case out of it, some knowledge out of it. Learn at least one new thing, one new trend, and this is just the beginning for few, and this is just a continuation for others. Thanks everyone, and thanks.
In 2 to 5 years' time. So the question is, will it happen? How will it happen? And my whole talk is about that. And as an organization, if cloud is going to have a transformational impact, should you not have a cloud strategy? How many of you are really into cloud, have a cloud strategy for the organization? Right? So logic goes that you should look at your business architecture and then look at the enterprise architecture, go through your portfolio of applications, find out which of them you want to migrate to the cloud and make a migration strategy, right? No, that's not the way you should approach cloud. Right? Why?
Somebody said the same thing in the panel.
Huh?
Somebody said this in the panel. That you should think about whether your business fits the cloud environment. Then
Yeah, I only said that. Yeah, but before I say why I am saying that this is not the right way to approach cloud, let me just touch upon this priority matrix. And I'll just superimpose on the priority matrix that was published from 2008 onwards. In 2008 also it was there in the same format. That is going to become transformational in the next 2 to 5 years. I'm still there. So either Gartner has got it very wrong, or cloud is never going to get transformational, or they have missed something. Let's discuss that. But before we do that, let's be clear about two definitions. One is what is cloud? What is cloud services? And one is what's a transformational impact? So once we're clear about this thing, then we can discuss more meaningfully. So what's cloud? This is one definition that I've used for many years. That a cloud service provider is somebody cloud service provider is somebody who has a large computing facility or storage and which is allowing you to use a slice of it, shielding you from the others who's using the same service and charging you based on what you actually use, and he may even give it to you free. So we already agree with the definition as a definition of a cloud service provider. They can be giving you a instance of a box, or they can be providing you with a service where you can use it as a mailing service. So let's agree that anybody who gives you a computing power for you to use on a per usage basis, he may charge for it, he may not charge for it, is a cloud service. And second is that let's see what's transformational impact. Transformational impact is something like, say, WhatsApp. What has WhatsApp done? It has sort of made SMS obsolete. All the telecom providers are making a lot of obscene amount of money. So sending an SMS doesn't cost anything to them. But they are charging you something like 50 paisa or 1 rupee, or maybe even 5 rupees for some SMS. But that business model is practically dying. 500 million user base, and they are acquiring 1 million users per day. That's a transformational impact. The transformational impact is not when you do a 5% cost saving on your IT budget. Transformational impact is when all the navigation service providers go out of business because Google Maps is giving it free, the navigation facility. It totally transforms a particular business. That's the transformational impact. So now we have to judge that is cloud providing such transformational impact to what we do. And if the answer is yes, then what should you do as an individual, as a person in the industry to be in sync with that transformational benefit? So before we ask transformational benefit, let's ask for whom. What about us, for you and me? How much of cloud do you use today? One Windows phone, one Android, and I don't ever bother about. Few years back, when you have to change your phone, you have to download all the addresses from your phone into a laptop and then figure out whether it will transform, do some format conversion and upload it. Now this is in sync with the Google contact. And I create in one and it comes in the other automatically without my ever bothering about it. You use WhatsApp for communication, but you can also send your location. If you are sitting here and you want to tell your friend that I am here and this is the call, you can simply send your location and he can pick it up and do Google navigation and come here. Cloud service, right? I think in last 10 years, the amount of cloud service that we use individually, we don't even realize that we are doing that. And I think if all those services are cut off from you, which means you lose Facebook, you lose Gmail, you lose Flickr, you will feel dead. So, one question is very clear, that our life has already been transformed because of cloud. There is no debate that you have to wait for some more years before our life is transformed. Right? Now if you look at a startup, startup has an interesting dilemma, especially if it is an internet startup. That I am starting up with a new service, I am setting up my hardware infrastructure, software infrastructure, and I am always short of gas. And if I spend too much on the infrastructure, I will run out of whatever VC funding I have got, and I will have a lesser time to survive. On the other hand, if I provide less amount of hardware and software, and I succeed, then the hardware and software will not be able to take the load of all the people who are trying to access that. And then cloud solves this in an absolutely nice way. Because if it is hosted in the cloud, for all practical purpose, it is scalable. I can keep scaling as much as I want, whenever I want it. So for a startup, it's almost a question of life and death. I don't have to overinvest, neither I have to underinvest. I just invest as much as is required, which may make a difference between success and failure. And today, many of the new startups, new generation startups, they use like Netflix. They're using many of the startups using some of the cloud providers. They don't build their own infrastructure. For small and medium business, if it is a large organization, you can own your ERP, you can set up your hardware infrastructure, you can own all the software that you want. If you are a small organization, can you afford such a thing? You don't. You can't afford it. But with the cloud, you can rent it and use it. Most of the things are available. So, for small and medium, again, it's a BD. I think the amount of thing that you can do on the cloud, and probably not all small and medium businesses realize that, but it can have a transformational impact for them to be able to afford things which only a large company could do earlier. What about a large enterprise? I think I'll park this question and we'll try to take it at the end. But on the whole, it's not a life and death question for many large enterprises. People equate the computing power with electricity. And saying that initially you had to have your dedicated electric generation facility for an industry. Now it is a commodity. Over a period of time, probably computing power also will be like that. But your aluminium plant, which uses huge amount of electricity, can afford to have their own power plant. So maybe cloud is something similar. But then anyway, I'll park this for now. But essentially, the first fact, if you really analyze what I was saying, the transformational impact of cloud is inversely proportional to the size of the entity. We as an individual is small one person. To us, it has already transformed our life. The moment the size of the entity becomes bigger, the impact is not felt that much. So why is it so? You've heard the term long tail? Any of you heard the term called long tail? See? So that's a long tail, but we're not talking about this long tail. We are talking about the long tail of, okay. How many of you have ever clicked on a Google promoted ad?
How many of you have done it in last 1 month? Okay. But Google is making all their money, why all? Maybe over 80 to 90% of their money from that AdSense. If nobody is clicking on it, how do they make the money? Interesting question, right? That's where the power of volume comes in. We don't realize that what is the size of 1 billion users. Even if very, very, very small percentage of people at some point of time do that, the total amount of money that is generated is huge. And that is the effect of long tail. Long tail means there are so many small individuals at various corners of the world. Individually, they don't make that much. But when you club them, that becomes a huge amount. So that cloud allows you to have that long tail effect. And because of various reasons, we can't really comprehend that how much that can be. It's something similar to evolution. If you ever thought of evolution saying that, this is a nice flower with so much color and the butterfly is sitting on it, which looks exactly like that flower. It happened because of evolution, because of selection, millions of years. But if you start thinking, how can it happen? You'll find that, how did it happen? So we don't comprehend the impact of putting either a lot of things together, each being very insignificant. And that brings us to the next part as crowdsourcing. So, any Star Wars fans here? Be the force with you. That's Linux. If you logically start thinking from the project that you are executing, the type of thing that you go through, type of process that you follow, how can the most robust operating system be done by millions of people sitting across? You can't really comprehend that at that level, but it happens. How did Wikipedia ever get made? How many of you have done edits in Wikipedia? You've done maybe small edits, some of you maybe more today. But putting all those stuff together, you have Wikipedia. So the impact of crowdsourcing, like the impact of long tail, is very difficult to analytically understand. Like in our brain, there are, if you look at a cell and the connection, you have no clue how the whole brain works. The brain works because there are 1 billion cells and 1 trillion connections. The impact of putting a lot of things together is what cloud is doing. It has transformational impact. And the third thing which cloud has done is about freemium. What's freemium? Most of it is free, a bit of it is charged. Any of you have writing a blog? WordPress is free. But then when you want to edit the slide sheet, you have to take a subscription. You pay a few dollars and take it. They're running the business model with that. Many of the cloud services today are premium. And what it has done to the rest of the industry? How much does Microsoft Office license cost? $200? How much would a similar thing cost for your iPad or iPhone? You get some of them free, pay a few dollars. The whole economy is being transformed. Microsoft is still trying to figure out whether they can issue a iPad version of Office and cannibalize their main Office business, or should they stay away from it? They're at a crossroad. So this premium concept of freemium, that how can you keep giving something free and still survive and make money? WhatsApp doesn't charge most of you. Some people will say they'll charge $1 per year. And it's valued at $18 billion. We don't comprehend the power of the number. Premium? Basically, premium means that I launch a service. I give the basic service to everybody as free. Once you start using it, you find that, okay, I'm very comfortable, I like the service. But then there are certain things I want to do, which is not part of the basic service. So now that I'm comfortable with it and I want to use that one extra thing, I have to take a subscription. Free with the option of premium for certain other things. Why is it possible? Because what the economists call as the marginal cost. What's the marginal cost? Marginal cost is what is the cost of adding one more user.